Yes, when I have time
if you
to
watch it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So we'll go through that again. Just the awareness comes into the body. We bring our awareness within so you can start to notice. For example, notice your contact with the chair. Notice tension in your body. Sometimes we just feel those shoulders really, cranky and achy and complaining, right? We don't exactly even know what to do about it. We don't need to know what to do about it because we're going to employ inhibition and direction next. So, but that awareness of bringing our awareness to ourselves, and it is to the body, but we're not just the body. We're also the mind body. So we have a psychical presence as well as a physical presence. So we're going to eventually get to breathing in a few minutes. So in this moment, I'm going to just ask you to place your hands on the low belly in the front. So your front body, low belly, baby finger into the hip joint. Not digging into the hip joint, but see if you can connect to that place where the leg bone comes in to meet the acetabulum, which is that little hollow on the front of your pelvis, very close to the pubic bone. If you were to look at an actual model of a pelvis, you see those little cups on the front of the pelvis. They receive the head of the femur bone. And that is interesting because when you're sitting, your leg bones are nestling in there, in that little cubby, but there's no need to push them in there. In other words, you can let your legs just be easy because what you're sitting on is your sitting bones and you're feeling your depth. So when you have your hands on that low belly like that, you start to feel the breath come in there, right? Because it's actually the breath ends at the bottom of the lungs, but then that pushes the organs. It displaces the organs because the diaphragm is pushed downward when we breathe in. And that's what you can feel. It feels good. It feels rich and full and deep. So, and then the awareness that you want to have is that my torso lives all the way down there in the front body, all the way to the pubic bone, all the way to the hip joints. And then the back body lives all the way down to the sitting bones, which is a little bit longer. It's a few inches almost, maybe an inch and a half longer than the front part of the body, which ends at the pubic bone. So in the front we have the pubic bone, and in the back we have the sitting bones. And then all those big muscles that you feel when you're sitting are your buttocks muscles. They're the gluteus medius, gluteus minimus. They help to stabilize you, to move your legs, to turn your legs out and in, right? They're useful. They're useful for all the activities of walking and leaping and things that we do. But right now, you just want them to relax and release so that you can feel the bottom of your torso. That's kind of what we're bringing into awareness. Now, bring your hands up in this place of your side body and just kind of run it up and down. So you can bring your flat hand on there if you want to. It's a little bit harder to feel that flat hand. It's a little awkward because the hands don't work very well that way. But if you just let this part of your hand travel up, you realize that you have some dimensionality, certainly lengthwise, from the bottom all the way up into the armpits. You also have some dimensionality depth-wise. So we have a front and a back. And I like to think of the torso like a trunk of a tree. So it's grounding into the chair, and then maybe you could even imagine the roots of the tree, becoming your legs and your feet, and sending an energy down into the earth. So that's a nice little metaphor image that we can play with. But at the same time now, giving yourself all that dimensionality, and take one hand into the armpit and bring the other arm. So bringing one arm up and bringing the other hand into that armpit, so you can kind of feel that contour in there, and realize and remember that there's some space way up in underneath the shoulder, underneath the arm, that is not torso. It's like the outside of the torso. So the torso itself includes the ribs, and the ribs get really small up there. So that's what, starts to open up that space. And if I were to make a fist in there and bring my arm down, there's still room for that fist under there, because we've got the collarbone in the front, the shoulder blade in the back, and the arm hanging down easily with a lot of support. And that support is your shoulder girdle support. It's the way that the shoulders are meant to spread out and widen. Let's go ahead and do that on the other side too, bringing that arm up, walking your hand up along the side into the armpit. And then see if just have fun with it. Notice the availability that you have. That upper arm can turn out, it can actually turn in. When the arm goes up, the upper arm bone is actually turning in a little bit. All that movability is available to you in any way that you want it to be. There's some easier ways for the arm to move. For example, if you tried to keep it turned out, like it's slightly externally rotated when it's down, but if you try to maintain that external rotation, you start to feel a little tension. So the arm easily moves into an internal rotation in order to go up overhead. And you could even do a little exercise here where the arm is easing, arcing over. And then you'll just kind of notice the movability you have in the shoulder joint, and keep monitoring that so it's as relaxed and easy as possible. And now bringing that arm back down or out, and then down, and shake that arm out. Just shake it out and bring your hands back onto your lap with the palms facing upward. And just take a moment. You may feel a little bit of difference between the left arm and the right arm. We did a little bit more with the right arm just now. So the right arm might be a little freer, might be a little tinglier than the left arm. But both of them should feel pretty easy, pretty good, because we did this little process of getting the shoulder girdle to widen a little bit. And that is the direction of the shoulders. They widen apart from one another. And the shoulder blades in the back are kind of mysterious, because we never really know what to do with our shoulder blades. But I'm going to just suggest that, once you feel a little bit more mobility and you're starting to influence the musculature on the back, just think about those shoulder blades having a little 2-ounce anchor at their tip at the bottom, and let those shoulder blades float down the outside of the muscular tissue of your back. And that's always really helpful. So then that anchors and grounds the shoulders, even though the only place that the shoulders are attached to the rest of the body are here at the sternum. Okay, you feel these little bones here, that's your clavicle bone. And the sternum is just underneath there, the top part of the sternum. And then it has its little downward facing dagger arrow going straight down through the body of the sternum, and then the bottom little tip there. And then once again, you can kind of sense where the clavicles or the collarbones are moving from. Sometimes I'll see people have their clavicles will be really pulled up like that, and kind of permanently so. That's a tension habit. That it's the muscles of the back of the neck, the trapezius muscles can get really constricted and shortened. And that's actually a contributor to the head getting pulled down because it's getting dragged down in the back from those big muscles, the trapezius muscles. And then there's other muscles underneath those that are also, creating tension. So when we give the message in Alexander technique, let my neck be free, it's kind of a general message. You're giving that message for all the muscles of the neck to be free, including the sternocleidomastoid, which, part of the movement of the neck, actually, making the head move from side to side. But there's also other muscles that can be really tight and tense. For example, the scalenes are flat, kind of sheet-like muscles that are under there. So when you put your own hands up here on your neck, you can give a general message of lightening, of releasing, of letting go of all that musculature. Yeah. Now, take your hands back down, but put one of them on top of your head. And I'm going to shift our thinking process just a little bit. I want you to think back about the sitting bones traveling down, and as if there was a little energy coming up into your hand. Okay, but be careful, don't push. So it's down to go up to go down to go up to go down. It's both at the same time. Giving your head the lead. The head gets to lead the body into length, but it's in relationship to the down, in relationship to where you're sitting, gravity. Okay? And now go ahead and take that hand back down to your lap. We'll give a little teeny bit of time to the legs away, so you can just run your hands from the hip joints towards the knees, giving a message, thinking of like untangling long hair, right? Those muscles in the quadriceps, the top of your legs, the side of the legs, the inside of the legs, they're all releasing towards your knees. And then see, lastly, if you feel in your body the weight of the shins dropping down into the ankles, and then your whole feet resting. Your whole feet, both feet wholly resting, spreading into length and width through their arches. Okay, and now we'll come to the breath. You can have your hands either facing down on your lap or the palms facing up, either one that feels good to you. And go ahead and take a few deep cleansing breaths in and out. And just notice where you feel movement of your breath in the body. Notice where you're feeling movement in your body. And begin to pay attention to the rhythm of the breath. So we're not trying to change the breath. We're not doing anything but noticing. You might notice that it's maybe a little shallow in certain areas, or maybe a little more constricted in the back than the front, something like that. Just notice what you notice with your breathing. And again, not to change it, we're just bringing our curiosity, our attention into the breath. At the same time now, you can add this whole dimensionality, this holistic feeling of your whole being. being present with this. So we're not like leaving the body behind and going to the ribs and the breath. We're including the whole body as we do our breathing. And this is really key because that feeling of a buoyancy along the spine and a resiliency is actually going to affect some change in the breathing. And that's what we're going for. Okay? So now let's continue. And I'm going to just ask you to place your tongue on the bottom teeth. And you're going to breathe in through the nose with the mouth closed. And then on the exhale, gently open your jaw and let an ah sound come out. A-H, ah. And it can be just a breath. It doesn't have to be a sound. And then you pause and wait, and then allow another breath to come in. So we're working with changing the breath now. We're doing the inhalation, and then open the mouth. The tongue is still on the back of the lower teeth. And you're letting a sound come out. It's called a whispered ah sound. And the jaw is relaxed. At the end of the exhale, close your lips and wait. Breathe in. And wait. Close the lips. Breathe in. And I'm going to keep talking. You keep doing this in your own pace. But as you're doing this, on the exhalation, I want you to see how open the back of your throat can be, how relaxed your tongue can be, even though it's releasing towards those lower teeth. So in fact, the tongue and the jaw are working together like the same unit of functionality. And the head, neck, back is working as a unit as well. You're just noticing at the end of the exhale, you pause. The inhale starts to move the ribs out and a little bit up. And then the exhale relaxes those ribs down and a little bit in. So the shape of the torso, the shape of the rib cage actually changes when you're breathing. When you're breathing in, it gets a little more spherical and wider. And when you breathe out, it gets a little bit longer and more oval. Just a little bit. It's not a lot. So we're going to keep that going for a few more breaths. Opening the jaw on the exhale to let the whispered ah come out. And then just gently stop doing the whispered ah, but keep breathing quietly, passively, a few more breaths. You'll notice a slight difference. And then just to end, what we're going to do is go back into a little movement process. So with the eyes open, you're thinking up along the spine, out through the top of the head, leaning forward over the hip joint a little bit, and then back onto the sitting bones. So you're letting the head lead the body up and over. Let's do it again. And then coming back, maintaining that quality of length, expansion throughout the whole body. The legs are free. Feeling that trunk of the tree very solid on the ground. Okay.